The last video on this channel was kind of negative because a lot of people were saying a whole bunch of negative stuff about Caden Gooley yesterday, so I wanted to talk about it here today. But today's other video is a lot more positive, I will say, because we're not talking about some of the guys who were taken in the middle of the first round in Caden Gooley for the Montreal Canadiens, but instead, we're going over two of the top guys, two of the top dogs of that 2020 NHL draft in the first round. Let's go over the two Swedes, the super Swedes at the top of the draft, Lucas Raymond and Alexander Holtz. Mostly because these two guys have shown themselves off incredibly well at the SHL level this season, and it's to the point where everybody's like, okay, these guys are a lot more NHL ready than we thought they were before they ended up getting drafted, or actually before they suited up for this 2020-2021 season. Spoiler alert, yes, the NHL is not on, but the SHL is. It's been on for quite a while. Even before the draft, these SHL games had actually been played. But for Lucas Raymond and Alexander Holtz, these were two guys who, earlier for last season's projection for 2019-20 heading into the 2020 draft, things were kind of weird. Because at the beginning of the draft year, 2019-20, a lot of people saw Lucas Raymond as the potential, let's just say, better player. A lot of people had Lucas Raymond as the third overall, fourth overall kind of guy in their preliminary 2020 NHL draft rankings, and Alexander Holtz was a little bit further down in that path. However, as the season progressed for 2019-20, we saw Lucas Raymond end off the season with fewer points in a similar games amount of played. Lucas Raymond last year had 10 points in 33 games played, 4 goals and 6 assists, while Alexander Holtz had 16 points in 35 games. It's also why, for NHL Central Scouting, Alexander Holtz was ranked second and Lucas Raymond was actually ranked fourth. So if you go over to the NHL Central Scouting for European skaters, Tim Stützle was the #1 pick in that group of players, which is not surprising. But then you also have the second overall guy, which was Alexander Holtz, and then you have Lucas Raymond, who was fourth. Third overall was actually a nice choice over there. It's Anton Lundell, who was actually ranked above Raymond too. Lundell went 12th overall to the Panthers, and Raymond went fourth. So the NHL European skating list ended up going a lot based off of the points. But a lot of people would be quick to point out that Lucas Raymond was a very good player. It's just that he wasn't getting played. You take a look at what he was exhibiting in his time at the Frölunda Hockey Club last year in 2019-20. He was getting played 8, 9, 7 minutes a night. Sometimes he was up there in the 10s. But then towards the end of the season, my gosh, this guy dropped off heavily. 4 minutes per game, 5 minutes per game. There were a few stretches where he was at 16, 11, or 12 minutes a game, but for the most part, it was so inconsistent with Lucas Raymond that everybody was like, okay, what's going on with this guy? How is he going to develop in this way? But Lucas Raymond was seen by many as the more complete hockey player, even though Alexander Holtz was getting a lot more points, he was getting a lot more goals, he was a goal scorer, finisher, a pure sniper in the truest sense of the word. Lucas Raymond was seen by many as the guy who could just do everything. He was a PK guy, he was a power play guy, he anticipates play so well, he just knows what to do, he knows where to be. He had Mitch Marner-like qualities, according to many people who were watching these Frölunda Hockey Club games. And because of the fact that he was so talented, it's why he was one of the first players to actually play in the SHL who was born in the year 2002. I covered that in a video 2 years ago, back in my freshman year of college. So, yeah, he was good, and he was very good to the point where he went fourth overall. Alexander Holtz, on the other hand, was indeed a very talented goal-scoring machine, and he ended up going 7th overall to those New Jersey Devils. You had yourselves the international play as well, where Holtz was a very good player for the World Juniors. Yeah, he was only 17, turning 18 years old when that went down. He had 5 points in 7 games played and 3 goals. My goodness, that is amazing. Lucas Raymond at the same tournament, though, he ended up with 4 points in 7 games played, so Holtz outproduced him there as well. But now, in 2020-2021, where Lucas Raymond is out here getting himself a lot more minutes consistently for the Frölunda Hockey Club, getting himself a bigger role in the team. He's averaging about 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 even, sometimes minutes per night. Lucas Raymond is out here with 12 points in 19 games played, 5 goals, 7 assists. This guy has already bested out his goal production from last year, his assist production from last year, and his point total production from last year, when he had 33 games last year, and now he's at 19. Man, this guy has absolutely taken a huge step forward. And then if you go over to Alexander Holtz, take a look at what he's done recently. He's at 11 points in 14 games, 4 goals, 7 assists. Holtz was noted mostly as a goal scorer, a sniper, by many people heading into the draft. But this year, this guy's really turned on his playmaking edge. He started dishing out more passes, more high-danger scoring chances coming off of his stick, going over to other players. He had 7 assists last year in 35 games. This year, he has 7 in 14. So that's a very nice improvement, doubling out the output of assists coming off of the stick of Alexander Holtz over there. And now you have so many people that I've been seeing talking about, okay, but Raymond and Holtz has more points, dog. Why is Raymond still seen as better? Well, it's not just all about the points, man. This is what I'm kind of going to say about it on this front. There is a world where you take a look at 2 players in the NHL or the SHL or wherever, and you say, okay, even though this guy, X, got more points, more goals than the other guy, I'd rather have the other guy on my team. Because numbers don't indicate the overall positive contributing factors that a player can do to a team outside of scoring goals. Things like Lucas Raymond can do. Breaking up plays because he knows how to anticipate very well. Nice little maneuvers to bring the play up forward for his own team. Lucas Raymond is a lot more of an all-round player than Alexander Holtz is, but they're both very good at producing points. It's just Alexander Holtz is seen by many as a lot more one-dimensional than Lucas Raymond, and I'm not saying that Holtz is one-dimensional, period. I'm saying in comparison to Lucas Raymond, Holtz is the more one-dimensional player, but at the end of the day, there's a trade-off there. Would you rather have the guy who is good in all situations, but who can still get points, or the guy who's just very good at getting points? So, even though there still is a debate to be had, these two are doing very well, blowing everything that they accomplished last year out of the water, and showing everybody that, yeah, these guys are probably legit. It's just kind of unfortunate because they are not allowed to go to the NHL right away. We noted this in a video a few months ago, but because of the way their SHL contracts are, they're not actually allowed to leave in the middle of the season and head over to the NHL. If their seasons end and then they go over, I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but the way things are right now, Holtz, Gunler, Raymond, these guys who are starting off their 18-year-old seasons in the SHL, yeah, they're not allowed to go. So we'll just see how they're able to develop in the SHL a little bit more. Lucas Raymond is coming off of a really nice point streak where he had 5 points in 4 games played. He went cold for 2 games after, but then bounced back with 2 points in 2 games played against the Bruins IF and the other team as well. Going over to Alexander Holtz's game log, though, this guy's been absolutely on fire. 4 assists in his most recent 3 games played. You go over to the past 5 games played and you have yourselves a total of 5 assists, so he's really been opening up that playmaking style that we all kind of knew did exist. It's just we hadn't really seen that to its fullest capacity earlier on because he was so focused on scoring goals. So now Holtz, Raymond, these guys are great. I would not be surprised if both of these guys made the NHL next year and eventually did their thing, actually putting up some pretty good numbers for first-year rookies. We've been hyped for Alexander Holtz and Raymond for years, guys. We seriously talked about Holtz, I think it was in like 2018 or something. I know we talked about Raymond in 2018 because he was the first 2002 born player to play in the SHL, but man, these guys are gonna be good sooner rather than later, and I can't wait to see it. So talk to me in the comments what you think about Holtz and Raymond, both of these guys outproducing themselves tremendously for this year's worth of play compared to last year. I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Trolls 99, and bye.